Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings versus Atlanta Falcons Week 13 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation between various data points. However, there's always going to be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you're new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So starting with this matchup between the Vikings and the Falcons, I'm really excited about this. Are you excited? Let me know if you're excited in the comment section. And when you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data is looking at how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and of course how the special teams is doing. And when you look at all this data and all this information, the Vikings are favored in this game. So let's get into some reasons why before I get some hate. Offensively speaking, the Vikings are favored in terms of pretty much every single angle. The Vikings have the better turnover ratio, meaning they don't turn over the football as much as the Falcons do. The Vikings don't allow as many sacks as the Falcons do. Offensive score percentage is pretty even. The Falcons have a 94.07 versus a 93.07 for the Vikings, and offensive score percentage is essentially the ability to score on every single offensive drive, is what that's looking at. Basically the rate that you put points on the board on every single drive. And because those offenses are so close, and because the Vikings have the better turnover ratio and the better sack allowance, in terms of preventing sacks, that's why the Vikings are kind of favored on offense when it comes to that perspective. And on top of that, the Vikings are also favored on defense. The Vikings have a better defensive offensive score percentage, better turnover ratio, and better interception ratio. The Falcons are better when it comes to sacks, but essentially the Vikings are just better in general when it comes to preventing points from being put on the board, which is a big deal when it comes to winning football games. Say it with me now. Winning football games, it's important to not let your team score points, your opponent. Then, of course, we get to special teams data. Punting yardage goes to the Vikings. Kicking yardage goes to the Vikings. Defensive punt return and defensive kick return goes to the Vikings as well. Field goal percentage goes to the Falcons. Extra point percentage goes to the Falcons. And punting average goes to the Falcons. So special teams wise, I would give this to the Falcons. I would give it to them because the field goal percentage, the extra point percentage, those are key things to kind of keep in mind, with this particular game. But overall, when you take a step back and you look at all the information, the Vikings are favored in this game because of their defense and because of their offense. The offense is fairly similar to the Falcons, but just better in terms of not turning the football over, in terms of not allowing as many sacks. And on top of that, your defense is just better. So because of all those reasons, the overall picture of the Vikings is they're better when it comes to the basic stat comparisons. Now, when you get to some other sort of matchups, so micro matchups, down and distance data, situational football, as Bill Belichick likes to put it, when you look at this completion percentage data, Falcons offense versus Vikings defense. The Falcons are favored on every single down when it comes to first, second, and third down, which again speaks to the fact that the Falcons have a pretty good offense. Then, of course, when you look at the Vikings offense versus Falcons defense when it comes to completion percentage, the Vikings are favored on first, second, and third down. So the Vikings have a similar situation. Vikings are not quite as good as the Falcons are when it comes to completion percentage, but they still are better than the Falcons' defense when it comes to that particular area. Then, of course, you get to first down conversion rate with the run between the Falcons' offense and the Vikings' defense. In this particular area, the Falcons are favored on second and third down. So basically, the Falcons should have some success rushing the football in this game, especially when it comes to those crucial downs and distances of second and third. Then you get to the Vikings offense versus Falcons defense when it comes to rushing downs. And in this particular area, the Vikings are favored on first, second, and third down. So I do expect the Vikings to have success. This Falcons rushing defense is not good. It's not good. So be careful. Be careful. Very, very careful. Stuff is going to happen. The Falcons defense is basically going to drop the soap in this game. Then, of course, you get to passing downs. The Falcons offense versus Vikings defense. In this particular area, the Falcons are favored on first and second down. So, again, the Falcons should have success in terms of passing downs. But the key matchup to watch is third down. The Vikings have a very good third down passing defense when it comes to preventing teams from converting in that area. And the Falcons are very good on third down as well when it comes to converting in those areas. But that's going to be a key down and distance to watch, as it always is, but especially in this game where you have that kind of dynamic going on there. Then, of course, you look at the Vikings offense versus the Falcons defense. And in this area, the Vikings are favored on second and third down. So definitely, I think they'll have success here when it comes to those particular downs and distances. Then we get to sack rate between the Falcons offense and Vikings defense, where the Falcons are favored on first and second down. Then you get to sack rate for the Vikings offense versus Falcons defense, where the Vikings are also favored on first, second, and third down. So I don't expect too many sacks to be had in this game for the most part for the Falcons defense, but it could happen. The most likely down where it could happen is second down because of how close those two areas are. Then, of course, you get to interception ratio between the Falcons offense and the Vikings defense, where the Falcons are favored on second and third down. And then finally, we get to the Vikings offense versus Falcons defense, where the Vikings are favored on first, second, and third down, respectively speaking. So very unlikely that the Vikings will throw a pick, but you never know. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. So how do I feel about this game? Well, I think it's going to be a Vikings victory. I think that when you look at the offense of the Vikings and you look at the defense they're about to play in the Falcons, bloodbath. Like I said, dropping the soap. That's what's going to happen. The Falcons offense, on the other hand, I think is going to have success. Like, I think the Vikings defense is going to be tested a lot in this game. And I think the Falcons are going to do everything they can to keep it interesting. But I just think, ultimately, the Vikings are just going to find a way to kind of win this game. So that's just kind of my general feelings on this. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you think is going to win this football game? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at giraffecoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.